All right, so get this. We're diving into AI and assisted reproduction.
Yeah, wild stuff, right? It all started with this engineer, Fabio Di Bello.
In his YouTube video, he's got some, well, interesting ideas about the future of family planning.
Luckily, we've got you here to help us sort through it all, so you ready to get into it?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so Di Bello, he starts off by comparing human intelligence to artificial intelligence.
Which, okay, not exactly a new concept, right?
Right.
But then he hits us with this phrase, hybrid intelligence. Have you heard that one before?
I have. It's a term that's been gaining traction.
What's it all about?
Basically, it's the idea that we can combine the best of human expertise with the power of AI.
So, like, instead of AI replacing doctors, it's more about giving doctors this, like, super tool.
Precisely. AI can analyze huge amounts of data, way more than a human could ever process.
Right, like patient information, genetic data, all of that.
Exactly. And that can help doctors make more informed decisions, leading to better outcomes for patients.
Okay, so it's less about robots taking over and more about giving doctors the best possible information.
I think that's a great way to put it.
And Di Bello had some really interesting examples of how this is already happening. Like, did you see the part about the AI software that analyzes sperm?
I did. That's some cutting-edge stuff.
It's incredible, right? The software can analyze sperm samples with, like, way more speed and accuracy than traditional methods.
It's really impressive. It can actually identify the healthiest sperm, which could be a game changer for couples struggling to conceive.
That's what blows my mind about all of this. It's not just some futuristic fantasy. It's, like, happening now.
It is, and it has the potential to change millions of lives.
And it's not just sperm analysis. Di Bello also mentioned AI being used for rapid sperm identification.
He said it could save literally hours compared to the current methods.
That's huge. Time is precious, especially when it comes to fertility treatments.
Totally. That kind of efficiency could make a world of difference for both patients and clinics.
Absolutely. It could streamline the entire process.
Okay, so we've covered sperm selection, but Di Bello didn't stop there. He also got into how AI is being used for embryo selection.
That's another area where AI is poised to make a big impact.
And this is where things got really interesting for me. He mentioned something called the IDA score. Have you heard of this?
Yes, the IDA score is a great example of AI in action.
Okay, so break it down for me. What exactly is it?
It uses a deep neural network to analyze images of embryos.
Deep neural network? That sounds intense. What does that even mean?
Basically, it's a complex AI system that can find patterns in data.
So it's looking at these embryo images and finding patterns that humans might miss.
Exactly. And based on those patterns, it can predict the quality and viability of an embryo with remarkable accuracy.
Wow, so it's like giving embryologists this superpower to see beyond what we can normally see.
You could say that. It's about leveraging AI to augment human capabilities.
And that leads to more informed decisions, right?
Absolutely. By identifying the embryos with the highest chance of success, we can increase the odds of a healthy pregnancy.
That's incredible. It's like taking some of the guesswork out of a very delicate process.
In a way, yes. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool. And like any tool, it's only as good as the hands that wield it.
For sure. But it's still amazing to think about the possibilities.
It is. Yeah. We're just scratching the surface of what AI can do in this field.
And it sounds like we're about to dive even deeper, because Di Bello also talked about AI being used to monitor and adjust hormone levels during treatment.
That's right. That's another area where AI can make a huge difference.
I'm guessing this is another example where AI's ability to crunch data really comes in handy.
Exactly. Hormone regulation is crucial in assisted reproduction.
And AI can help us achieve a level of precision that was previously impossible.
So how does it work?
Imagine a system that collects real-time data on a patient's hormone levels.
Real-time. So we're talking constant monitoring.
Yes, and based on that data, AI algorithms can recommend adjustments to medication dosages.
So it's like having a personalized hormone guru on call 24/7.
In a way, yes.
That's incredible. No more one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It's about tailoring the treatment to each individual patient.
Okay, I am officially blown away. And we haven't even gotten to the part about AI therapists.
That's next on the list.
But before we jump into that, let's talk about the emotional side of fertility treatments.
Of course. It's an incredibly emotional journey.
Because Di Bello didn't shy away from that either, did he?
No, he didn't. He actually touched on a fascinating application of AI that's already gaining traction.
Which is?
AI-powered chatbots offering support and counseling to patients going through fertility treatments.
Right, AI therapists. Okay, now you're really piquing my curiosity.
I mean, we all know fertility treatments can be, well, emotionally tough, right? So, like, how does AI fit into that?
It's a great question because going through fertility treatments can be incredibly isolating.
Stressful, and there's often a lot of waiting involved.
The waiting is the worst.
It is, and during those times, you might have questions, you might just need someone to talk to.
And that's where these AI chatbots come in.
So instead of waiting for an appointment or, frantically Googling at 2:00 a.m.
Exactly.
You could have this AI chatbot available 24/7 to answer questions and offer support.
Precisely. Think of it as a resource that's always there for you, providing information and guidance.
That's huge because everyone's journey is different, right?
Absolutely. Everyone has different needs, different support systems.
And different levels of patience when it comes to waiting for answers.
For sure. And AI chatbots can provide that personalized, on-demand support that many people need.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I have to ask.
Can an AI chatbot really replace human interaction?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the truth is, AI can't fully replicate human empathy.
Or the nuances of a conversation with a trained therapist. But it can offer something incredibly valuable.
What's that?
Accessibility and immediacy. You might not always be able to reach your doctor or therapist.
But an AI chatbot is available 24/7. It can provide information, coping mechanisms, and a sense of connection.
So it's not about replacing human interaction. It's about bridging the gap.
Exactly. It's about providing an additional layer of support, especially when you need it most.
That's a really important point because as much as we're excited about the potential of AI,
We have to remember that there's a human side to all of this.
couldn't agree more. Technology should complement and enhance human care, not replace it.
Well said. Okay, so we've talked about the amazing things AI can do.
But Di Bello also touched on some of the risks and ethical concerns surrounding AI and assisted reproduction.
He did, and those are important to address.
Because with any new technology, there are always going to be challenges.
Absolutely, and it's our responsibility to identify and address those challenges proactively.
So what are some of the big concerns that people are raising about AI in this context?
Data privacy is a major one.
Makes sense.
These AI systems are trained on massive amounts of personal and sensitive data.
Right, like medical records, genetic information, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And ensuring the security and responsible use of that data is absolutely critical.
Especially given all the data breaches and privacy concerns we hear about these days.
It's a valid concern, and it's something that researchers and developers are acutely aware of.
So it's not just about protecting that data from hackers.
Right.
It's also about making sure it's not being used in ways that patients haven't consented to.
Exactly. Transparency and control over personal data are essential.
Okay, data privacy, got it. What else is on the list of concerns?
Another big one is the potential for bias in AI algorithms.
Bias. How so?
If the data used to train these algorithms isn't diverse and representative,
You're going to run into problems.
exactly, it could lead to biased outcomes, potentially exacerbating inequalities in healthcare.
So like if the AI is mainly trained on data from one demographic group,
It might not be as accurate or effective for people from other groups.
that's a really important point. So how do we address that?
It's crucial to ensure that the training data is as inclusive and representative as possible,
Makes sense.
and that these systems are continuously monitored and adjusted to mitigate any bias.
It sounds like a lot of responsibility falls on the people developing these technologies.
It does, but the good news is that many researchers and developers are already having these conversations.
They're thinking about the ethical implications.
Exactly. They're committed to responsible AI development, and they're working to address these challenges proactively.
That's reassuring to hear.
Transparency is key, and I think we're going to see more and more of that as AI becomes more integrated into healthcare.
Okay, so with all that in mind, the potential benefits, the risks, the ethical questions.
Where do we go from here? What's the next frontier in AI and assisted reproduction?
Well, I think one of the most profound advancements might come from the integration of AI with other emerging technologies,
Like what?
like genetic screening and even gene editing.
Whoa, okay, now we're talking next level stuff.
We are. Imagine a future where AI could help us not just select embryos.
But potentially make changes to their genetic makeup.
So we're talking about eliminating certain genetic diseases before a baby is even born.
That's the idea. And it's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
No kidding. It feels like we're on the verge of some major breakthroughs.
We are. But with those breakthroughs come huge responsibilities.
Absolutely. We need to make sure we're using these technologies wisely and ethically.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just up to scientists and doctors to figure this out either.
This is a conversation that needs to involve everyone.
It's about the future of family.
Exactly. And it's a future that we all have a stake in shaping.
Okay, so for our listener out there who's maybe still processing all this,
What's the one big takeaway you want them to remember?
that the future of assisted reproduction is being written right now.
It's not some far-off sci-fi movie.
It's not. It's happening now. And it's up to all of us to engage with it thoughtfully and ethically.
You know, it's funny, we started off talking about algorithms and sperm selection, but this is really about the future of family, isn't it?
It really is, and I think that's what Di Bello was getting at with that whole hybrid intelligence idea.
Right.
It's not just about the technology itself.
It's about how technology changes how we think about our most basic human experiences.
Totally. And as much as I love geeking out about all the science-y stuff,
It's those big questions that really stick with me.
like, what does it mean to have a family in a world where AI is such a big part of how we reproduce?
It's a question more and more people are going to be asking themselves, especially as these technologies become more common.
It's like we're rewriting the rules of how families are made.
And you know that story, it doesn't always have a happy ending, even without AI in the mix.
That's true.
I mean, fertility treatments, even without all the fancy technology, they can be really tough.
They can be both physically and emotionally.
It's a difficult journey for a lot of people.
Exactly. And I think sometimes in all the excitement about the technology, we forget about the human side of it all.
It's easy to get caught up in the latest advancements.
But it's crucial to remember that behind every algorithm and data point, there's a real person going through something very difficult and very personal.
Absolutely. And for some people, this whole idea of AI-assisted reproduction, it might even seem a little scary.
I can see that.
Like, it's a lot to take in.
It is, and that's why I think it's so important to talk about it openly and honestly.
For sure, because the more we understand the technology,
The more empowered we are to make informed decisions about it.
exactly, knowledge is power, as they say.
So for our listeners out there who are maybe just starting to learn about all of this,
What's the one thing you want them to take away from our deep dive?
that the future of assisted reproduction is being shaped right now, today.
It's not science fiction. It's happening in labs and clinics around the world.
And we all have a responsibility to think critically about it, to ask questions, and to be part of the conversation.
Well said. And on that note, we're wrapping up another deep dive. But the conversation doesn't have to end here.
If you're intrigued by what you've heard today, go out there, do some research, and keep asking those big questions.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep those brains engaged.